You know specifically what you have to do and how to do it. So I just want to ask you, what if you don't? What if you don't? Because see, what I know after doing these for all these years now is that some of you are going to leave here today and you're not going to do anything that you learned here today. The enthusiasm of the day is going to wear off, the reality of tomorrow is going to come, and you're not going to put it in action. And I say that because I believe that everybody here is here because they want the same things. I have an author and writer that I really love. He passed away this last week, named Dallas Willard. And he wrote a book called The Divine Conspiracy that changed my life. But I was reading this eulogy the other day that one of his friends gave for him. And he said, you know, Dallas said that there are only really 4 questions in life that people have to answer. The very first one that most of us get out of the way pretty quick is, what is reality? There's still a few weirdos stuck on that. But for the most part, the rest of us got that out of the way pretty quick. And then he said the second question is, you have to decide, what is a good person? And most of us, by the time we get in our 20s, have kind of decided on our value system, what we believe it means to be a good person. He said the third question is, what is a good life? And he said, you know, ironically, almost across all cultures, people agree on what that is. And so the only really question that matters is, how will I live a good life? He said good life, for most people, is the ability to use the freedom to use their talents and gifts to enrich themselves and enrich others. And you think about what we have here today. And I was so excited to see all the leaders that came up here and did these presentations. And I've got maybe a unique vantage point that some of you don't have. I've gotten to watch them all for a number of years now. And I can promise you that they were not that good when they started. But here's what's so awesome about that, is I've got to watch them grow and learn and develop. The talent and the gifting was already there when they joined Ambit. A lot of cases, they just didn't know it. And this business has brought that out in them, and they were able today to do such a professional job of sharing that with you. And so I've seen them learn and grow, and I've seen this opportunity give them the ability to enrich themselves, but to use those gifts and talents to enrich others. And what I know is row after row after row after row after row here are full of people who are on that same journey with them. You're just a little further behind them, but you came into this business with gifts and talents and this unique culture phenomenon that we say is a desire to live the good life. And so rather than talk about what other speakers have talked about today, I'd like to just go over 2 things that I think will keep that from happening if you let it. Because at the end of the day, all this information that you learn, and as excited as you are about it, if you can't put it into action and do something, if you can't take positive steps towards living that good life, then it doesn't matter. It's a waste of time. And in my experience, there are only 2 things that will prevent it. Fear and doubt. You see, we have a group of people here today that are brand new. You maybe been in Ambit a few weeks, maybe a month. A lot of you are guests here today thinking about joining our business, and you've seen all this stuff and it's exciting, and you saw these speakers and you had John Maxwell, and you're going, man, I'm going to join that company. But then what's going to happen is you're going to leave here today, and this little voice of fear is going to start telling you, this is what fear does. Fear says don't. That's what fear says. That's its only job, is to say don't. And so fear is going to tell you that this can't work for you, that you're going to make a fool of yourself if you do it, that all your friends and your family members are going to think you're ridiculous for trying, and that you're going to be embarrassed, and that you're going to be a failure. And it's just going to keep lying to you and lying to you and lying to you and telling you don't. I just want to ask you today to ignore that voice and do it anyway. Please ignore that voice and do it anyway. There's a small group of you here that that's going to happen to. Understand that we told you in advance that's going to happen. And there's something in this world, I swear, that when you make up your mind in your heart to do something positive, comes against that like nothing you've ever seen. And that's where it's going to start today for some of you. And then the rest of you, you've been in Ambit for a while. You've gotten over fear, you put it aside, you jumped in and you started doing it. And doubt is what's going to stop you from going forward. Because after fear says don't and you ignore it and move on, then doubt comes in and says stop. And you know, this culture that we live in, I've been thinking a lot this last couple of weeks about my grandmother, because this is very close to her birthday. And she's not with us anymore, but I was thinking about the life that she lived and how different it is from mine, and how bombarded we are with technology. You know, I think that the biggest problem that we have today that's related to doubting our decisions, isn't really caused by an inner lack of confidence. I think what causes it is the fact that we're so distracted. You know, my grandmother, when she was growing up in Carthage, Texas, 80 years ago, she didn't have TV to distract her.